What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Form Check Friday. This is the series where we take your viewer-submitted videos, put them up on the screen behind me. We try to pick things apart in terms of your competition power lifts, try to help everybody think of more things, more ways we can analyze and be critical about technique. Now, the concept of good technique and having this sort of very rigid, sort of dogmatic standard for everybody's lifts need to look like this, I don't think is the right sort of route to go. However, what we're trying to do here is make people more critical, make people more conscious of things that we can change, alter, and play with in the sort of trial and error process that is cultivating individual technique. So, if everybody has, if anybody stayed tuned or tuned in for last week rather, then you would have known that we left off with the gentleman named Sandra. Now, Sandra was left playing at the end of the last video, and what we did was we had people comment their thoughts on his deadlift. Now, obviously, we don't want to just leave this up to the viewers. There was a comment here from Poo Poo Head that said, Sandra got screwed. He's going to have to sort through the comments, not knowing who's giving him legitimate advice, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, Sandra. Don't worry, Poo Poo Head. We are going to go through these comments, and I'm going to give my thoughts and critique on his deadlift. So there were some recommendations for different exercises, things like pause deadlifts and RDLs. Obviously, I think those things will probably help. Anything with more practicing the deadlift is going to help. Says that his starting position looks good. He's patient off the floor, good upper back lat tightness. He's losing tension in his lumbar spine. Paul Wolf Didge said. We got a couple other comments here. I think Sandra should shift his weight a little further back, Nathan was saying. And let's take a quick look here, and I'll give you guys my opinion on this. And I would agree with the assessment that he's starting to lose position in his lower back. I think one of the things that might help Sandra get into a bit of a better start position, if we look at his start position right here, it looks like we're not quite as flat in the back as I would maybe try to get somebody to be. Again, flexion is not necessarily a mechanic for injury. Repeat that again. Flexion is not necessarily a mechanic for injury. But anyways, a lot of times we can be a little bit more efficient with the neutral spine, however. So what I would like to see is I think I agree with Nathan here that the weight should be shifted a little bit further back on the heels. I also think potentially widening his stance would allow him to get his knees out of the way a little bit and get a bit better extension through this sort of low back segment there where we're a little bit rounded. And that way, when we start off the floor, we're not losing or seeing this like a little bit of rounding as he initiates the lift. The other thing I think is he could depress his shoulder blades a little better. Looks like we're still a little bit shrugged up. However, we are definitely retracted, which is decent, but I would even allow those shoulders forward more for the sake of more depression and more pulling the shoulders down. So that would be my advice for Sandra. And I really want to thank everybody for giving their advice. I think that helps. I think having people be more conscious and discuss these things in the comment section is really useful. So we are going to move on, however, and our next one comes from, let's see here, Lawrence. So Lawrence Cordero says he recently found our channel, has been watching a lot of our videos. He says, you're a beast. Thank you, Lawrence. He wants us to criticize his form and give out as many tips and pointers to improve his deadlift as possible. He weighs about 170 pounds. He's not maxed out in a while, so he's not sure what percentage 405 is for him. So he's doing some deficit lifts with 405. We're going to look at the competition lift first and foremost here. So let's take a look at his competition 405 for 5 reps. Dude, that is a really nice deadlift. Also, this guy's shredded. So I really like this hip height. He's got a relatively short femur, which allows him to get a little bit more upright off the floor. His knees aren't way out in front of the bar, and if we watch as he initiates the lift, he's doing a really good job of just pushing the floor away. We do see a tiny bit of hip shift, hip rising. I don't really think that that's worth picking apart because it is so subtle and it's so slight. And his back angle stays super locked in. He pushes the floor away. The knees almost lock. He pulls his back and hips through. It's just, this is perfect. I think this is a fantastic deadlift. Let's take a look how that changes from a deficit. So this is from a deficit and a side angle. So let's see if we can see how things change for Lawrence from a deadlift, or sorry, from a deficit. And it doesn't look like things change all that much. This is a nice small deficit. I think a lot of times people might get into the habit of using a bit too much deficit, and then it changes the movement pattern. It really limits how much weight you can use, and then our transference is maybe not quite as we don't maybe get as much transference. Probably a better way to say that. But I think, again, really, really good positioning. He's not quite as upright. That's one thing that's maybe changed into the deficits here, is he's not quite as upright, but he's still doing just a fantastic job of really pushing the bar off the floor, being patient. The back angle stays very consistent until it's time to bring the hips and back through. Lawrence, I got nothing but good things to say to you, man. And hopefully having some of these more proficient lifts on the channel give people an idea, because a lot of times on this channel I say, oh, I want you to fix this, I want you to change that. When I can illustrate somebody doing something well already, that can give us a little bit of an illustration of, okay, this is how it should be done. This is what I'm talking about when I recommend that we do things this way. Our next one's gonna be Amit. And Amit says he's a novice lifter interested in getting stronger. He's been actively following our uploads on YouTube and has found them extremely helpful. I have attached my squat video along with this email. I've done this set for max reps. Please take a look, let me know what can be improved. Thank you and good luck on your next meet. Thank you very much, Amit. Hopefully you'll make your third deadlift this time. Oh, yeah, I agree. I was actually just talking with Liz Craven about that. And for anybody who doesn't know, Liz Craven, we recorded a video with her. She's a multiple-time world record holder in the squat, deadlift, and total, I believe. And she recorded a video with us about bracing and hinging for the squat and deadlift. So look forward to that on Monday. And yeah, I think that's going to be really great. I was really excited to kind of go through that with her. She obviously is a very proficient squatter. So, but anyways, I was talking with Liz. She ended up missing her second and third deadlift at Worlds this week in Calgary. And she was really choked about it. She hates missing lifts. And I was just saying, yeah, it's been a while since I've made a third deadlift. So it's one of those things. All right, let's take a look, Amit. So first off, looks like depth is a little shy. I would like to see you, if you're looking to compete in the future, we're gonna have to squat deeper than that. And along with that, we'll probably need to increase the amount of lean. So you can see we're descending pretty upright towards the bottom. We are starting to tip forward a little bit more. So I would like to see you at the top, and again, we talk about this in the Liz video that's coming out. Set your hips, set your hinge. So push your hips back, keep this weight back on your heels a little bit. Let that chest come forward, but we want to make sure that this whole segment here is moving as a unit and staying locked in. So we tilt the whole body together, and then we start the descent. This is going to help you set a better torso angle so that you can maintain all the way throughout. And we did actually do a video on setting your torso angle, and maybe I'll get Dylan to put it up here somewhere, and Dylan can link to that video where we talk about setting the torso angle and how much lean is too much lean or maybe not enough lean. So I think that's probably the biggest place that I would work on for you, Amit. It looks like you're doing a pretty good job with the upper back tightness. We do need some depth, which I think is going to be aided by being in more of a leaned over position. Bar position looks good. We're not coming on the toes too bad. Just need to work on that depth and that trunk position and orientation. All right. Hopefully that helps you out, my man. So next up, we're gonna look at Ricky. Now Ricky's doing some bench press here. Pull this up behind me. All right. So he says his name's Ricky and he's been powerlifting seriously for about 1.5 years now and have been experimenting with different foot positioning on the bench. He says his bench is definitely his worst lift and always finds it difficult with consistency in regards to form. So here's 100 kilos for 5 paused at the end of his workout. His max is 130, and he's looking to hit 3 plates paused by the end of the year. If you could give me a form check, that would be great. I'm a big fan. Keep up the good work, and much love from Australia. Shout out to all my strong Aussies out there. All right, let's take a look, Ricky. So decently good control to the chest, at least for the first part of the range of motion. Then we're kind of dropping. First rep's not paused. So there we're good too, and then it really speeds up. So again, I'd like to see more control in this portion of the range of motion, because we're coming down and that's a bit of a loose touch. You can see the bars wobbling around a little bit. The bars, maybe we're kind of letting the bar sink or letting the bar rest on the chest more so than keeping the weight tight in our hands. And I really think, yeah, so there on that rep, we actually saw him kind of loosen this way. And then as he initiated, there was a big drive back and a big drive up. So we're loosening very much in our leg drive there, as well as our arch, so that we can get that sort of extra press off the chest. So, I mean, you kind of have to decide how you're going to bench. Are you going to be nice and tight throughout? Are you going to keep nice consistent leg drive? Or are you going to get a little bit loose so that you can use a jolt of leg drive to get things started? I think one of the reasons you might be feeling inconsistent is because you're doing a bit of both of these techniques. So I would work on trying to get consistent with that aspect of things, the tightness, the maintenance of tightness, or that slight loss of tightness, and then using that to kind of rocket the bar back into where you want it. So that'd be probably the biggest thing I would work on there in terms of consistency, is try to choose a style of leg drive and stick with it for a period of time and see how that goes. Hopefully that helps you out, Ricky. All right, so up next we have Lanra. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Let's pop this up here. So Lanra says, thanks for Form Check Fridays. They're very helpful, especially for beginners like me who need a proficient and experienced pair of eyes. For me, this is 315 for 4, 75%. Very curious about deadlift since he has long legs, long arms, and his torso is short. Basically, I'm horizontal when I initiate the pull and balanced on my feet. If I tilt back, bias some angularity, my center of gravity shifts to heels. Does my form look okay as it is with my leverages, or do I need to adjust? Previously, my pull was very lower back dominant and grip and rip with a 420 pound max, but not as much now as I learned to focus primarily on lat engagement, which has consequently greatly improved my leg drive and feels better on my body. All right. So yeah, we can definitely tell, like, because of Lanra's long limbs, I think this is probably going to be the appropriate or the best position he can get himself into in a conventional pull. I would play with going further back on your heels, see how that feels. Might get you a little bit more upright. The other thing I would do is, and the internet might rip me apart for this one, but go ahead and try sumo. You have the leverages for it. Nice short torso, should be able to kind of lock in, nice long arms. The sumo thing might work pretty well for you. As far as conventional goes, this looks like you're doing a really good job of bracing your upper back. You're really learning to sort of push the floor away. A lot of really, really good things happening here. Definitely a lot of sort of, like you said, what did you call it? Focusing primarily on his lats. And I think that's a big thing in terms of how well we're kind of wedging in and staying tight into the bar. So I would say if you can, try doing some pulls from your heels with your hips just a little bit lower. But if that doesn't feel good, and in either case, I would recommend probably trying out some sumo. I think that might be a good route to explore for you. All right. Now, that is Amit, Ricky, okay, and last we have Jeffrey's deadlift. So Jeffrey, we're gonna let Jeffrey play here, and we're gonna get, as usual, I'd like everybody in the comments section to go ahead and weigh in. Don't stress. Jeffrey will be first in the next video. I will look at it, I will respond to the comments, and I will give my critique on it as well. Jeffrey's not getting screwed over or anything like that. But I do like, having discussions, causing people to think critically. So this is a single. We'll let this play maybe one more time here. And there's a second video as well. So let me just pull up Jeffrey's email here. So he says he loves the videos, got into powerlifting about a year ago. At that point, could barely deadlift 275. Been watching a lot of other videos, as well as a lot of research. First lift is 365 and the second is 415. I really struggled at the lockout and was hoping you could give me some tips as well as correct any deficiencies in my form. Thanks a lot. All right, so there's that one. And there's one more from Jeffrey as well. So this is the heavier deadlift. This is gonna be the 415 pound deadlift, where he said he has some trouble at lockout. A lot of hitching going on there. I mean, we can kind of, I'll just state the obvious there. If your critique is that he's hitching, maybe that's kind of a given. But let's see this deadlift one more time here. All right. So we're going to leave it at that. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about Jeffrey's deadlift and how he can improve it. If you guys have any questions or comments about anything that I said in this video or anything you want to discuss with me, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. We will hopefully have linked that video that I was talking about for Amit, where we're talking about the torso lean and initiating the squat with a little bit of a hinge. And keep your eyes peeled for that video with Liz on Monday. That's going to be it for us today. If you want to submit your video to get checked, please do so to we have 2 emails. It's going to be going to FORMCHECKFRIDAY@gmail.com. FORMCHECKFRIDAY@gmail.com if you want to get featured on this series. So thanks again. Make sure to hit like and subscribe for more excellent powerlifting content from us, and we'll see y'all in the next one.